Bermuda. Against the backdrop of teen services possibly closing, teachers sitting out in mass, Salvation Army unable to feed the most needy, roads atrocious, taxi drivers disgusted, fishermen bewildered by the consultation, farmers frustrated with the red tape that they've gone through. Minister Birch fails yet again and tells us they have decided to ditch their second attempt after $100 million has been spent on this Grand Atlantic Bermudiana project. Good morning, members of the media and Bermuda. Let me first apologize. I have received so many calls, dozens and dozens and dozens of calls, WhatsApps, text, you name it, in just one night. It's quite bewildering what is just taking place. I am blown away to learn that the latest failed project on the Bermudiana Beach Club project. And thank you again for joining me. I have a question for every resident in Bermuda. In a similar position, if you were a cabinet minister, or just yourself, giving suggestion, what could you do with $100 million? It's no doubt the possibilities are endless and definitely life-changing. The government's recent announcement for the plans of the Bermudiana Beach Resort is a last-ditch attempt to salvage a huge mess created by this Byrd administration and this particular project led by the minister, Colonel Birch. And if they take this latest course of action, they will once again increase the cost of living, drastically increase the cost of housing, and make it even more unaffordable for the average Bermudian to put a roof over their head. Now you will recall, and I'm going to divert through this here somewhat, you will recall that just this year, earlier this year, the minister was excited for the opening of this taxpayer-funded hotel. Due to open, ironically, this month. This month, folks, the hotel's supposed to be open. And on the eve of the opening of the hotel, we get this announcement. This is unconscionable. Quite frankly, when I heard that it was a press conference being held, I figured, okay, we've got some good news. You know, it's supposed to open up in November. They're going to open up a little earlier. And this $100 million is now going to be something that Bermudians can be proud of. It was clear from the beginning by any right-thinking person that any of the proposed initiatives by government were not feasible, folks. Not feasible. Low-cost housing failed. Hotel failed. But give me some more money, and this time, a third time, we will rent it. For those coming to Bermuda looking for housing. Yet, in the meantime, folks, from this government, from this ministry, a letter has already been sent out by the minister that locals who are living in government housing are to vacate in 3 years. Yeah. This is what's happening. If Bermuda is not upset and angry about this here, I don't know what's going to get us or get our attention. But based on the response that I have received, it's getting our attention. It's ironic, you know, that many years ago, this minister told foreigners that were coming here and here that if you don't like it, leave. But yet now they're looking at international business with the new tax revenues that they believe are going to come here to save Bermuda. And what, quite frankly, this boils down to is that we are mortgaging our children's future. Money just going up in smoke. This government refused to listen to the board of the BHC and others. And look what a mess we face today. We've gone ahead and spent, I don't know how much money to get Ernst & Young to give us a professional report that this project's not going to work on the eve that it is supposed to be opening. It's not going to work, folks. And I can guarantee you we're probably going to spend way more than $5 million to move forward. When they first started this project out back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, they were told by the community. I mean, Buddy Rigo told them, this project's not going to work for free. But yet the minister barreled ahead. So what really is the true cost of this here? You know, this minister has a pension, and I'm bringing this up now to act independently. Yeah, when he came into cabinet with this last PLP administration, he came into the House of Assembly and said this: I'm only going to take this job. Now he's telling his boss this, the premier. I'm only going to take this job under two conditions. Number one, Bermuda, I'm going to go up to Government House only once to get my appointment as a minister. So, you know, the governor's house is good enough to give him his appointment, but not for him to come back and have conversation about the concerns of Bermuda. And then the number two condition is this, and this is the nature of what we are dealing with right now. The number two condition was this: he told the premier. The second condition is, don't tell me what to do. That's what an independent looks like. I'm independent. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to come to this House of Assembly. I'm different than everybody else. And I'm going to do what I'm going to do. This is unconscionable, Bermuda. And yet after the fiasco of when they started out and completed the project by 2012 of building low-cost housing, they were unable to move it. And guess whose fault it is? That's right. It's the OBA's fault that they couldn't get this project done. Yet advice after advice, the board saying, I don't think we should do this here. The real estate people saying, I'm not sure this is a good idea. He still does it anyhow. And look at the mess. He also had the nerve to tell Bermuda that over the last 12 years we have spent $100 million. Okay, he's trying to include the OBA in this. Well, let me be clear with you, Bermuda. The OBA was the only administration that brought revenue to Bermuda, to the coffers of government, for the Grand Atlantic project. They are the only government that found a way to get revenue to come in to pay off our debt, to help pay off our debt. But yet this minister bulldozed ahead. So what I want to know is, where was the Ernst & Young report back then that said we should do this? No. The minister decided back then, it don't matter what you say, I'm going to do it. Now, that in and of itself, we years go by, we could probably say, okay, well, fine, I'm going to move on. But then a second time, he decides that he's going to make it a hotel. Now, I don't have a problem with that, because when we were the administration, we put it out in RFI and said, well, look, we want some ideas. And the best one coming forward was to make it a hotel. But never once was the OBA government going to use taxpayers' money to borrow money and use taxpayers' money to pay for a hotel. We were going to do just like we did with St. Regis and the Lorraine. Find an investor, put the money into the project, and build it to the benefit of Bermudians. But no, the minister wants you to believe that we were going to put a hotel there and use taxpayers' funds, money. No, further from the truth. So over the last 12 years, we spent $100 million. Guess what? It was under the PLP administration that $100 million has been paid. And this is a failed project. A failed project. But yet the minister has the nerve to come to us once again and say, listen, I messed up the first time. Okay, I messed up the second time. Okay, Give me some more money and I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try something else. Now, anywhere else in the world, folks, I don't care what business you go work for, if you tell your boss, don't tell me what to do, you're fired. If you tell your boss, listen, I know I failed the first time and I'm failing the second time, give me some more money and I might get it right this next time around. You're fired. And this minister needs to step aside. He needs to resign. But what the minister does tell us is this. In his reasoning yesterday, he's saying to us, well, look, cabinet made the decision. Now he's dissolving himself from making the decision. But this is the same man, as I said, who told his boss, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. And that's what an independent looks like, Bermuda. They have their own resolve and they only answer to themselves. This can no longer go on. And if the cabinet agreed to this here, basically saying, well, we don't want to waste any more money, well, you've been wasting money all along. You spent $100 million, as he says, in the last 12 years, trying to include us in that, but yet fails to recognize and fails to admit that the project, the taxpayer spent $42 million to build 78 units. $42 million for low-cost housing. He hasn't included that in the price. He's just talking about $100 million. Well, what about the $42 million that's been lost? Can you think of some other things that we might have lost? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And so this project needs some answers. We need to know the total amount that has been spent on this project. And we need some investigation. This project needs to stop today. It needs to stop today to get some answers to the questions that are out there as to why we are changing and changing and changing and using up the taxpayers' money to make this project work. Now, I've gone off a little bit there. Let me get back to my speech here. Last page. The government refused to listen to the BHC and others, and look what a mess we face today. This mess, this inexcusable waste of the taxpayers' dollars lies squarely with the Premier and this minister. No spinning, no berating of others, no prevaricating can change the facts. This government has failed, and the people pay once again. A few questions. How much has been spent in total? How much has been paid to local contractors who are there? What is expected to be spent to finish the project to meet the changed plans? Who took the decision to hire the consultant to do a feasibility study? So the person who took the decision to use a consultant did not believe that there was anyone within government who could look at the project and give them advice? What date was the contract signed to do the feasibility study? And how much did that cost? Before government got into this project that has now failed, was a feasibility study done? Once again, Bermuda, the POB government has wasted the taxpayer funding while Bermudians struggle in their own country and leaving for pastures somewhere else. This requires some investigation, and I don't know how that comes, but I will say this: the project stops. Minister of Public Works needs to sit down and resign. There's no way that the Premier can accept from this minister that you don't tell him what to do and make blunder after blunder after blunder. You drive around Bermuda, the most scenic place in the world. Our roads are a mess. Overgrowth makes it very dangerous to drive. The money used in this failed fiasco could have provided Bermuda with the best roads, well kept, in the entire world. The partners in this project hadn't even been contacted before this announcement. Is that how you act with a partner? I mean, this is your partner. So of course, the partner's going to say, well, we got a bailout clause, pay me $500,000. Anybody in their right mind is going to say, well, I didn't have to do anything, you just gave me $500,000. Sure, I'm okay with it. Everything's okay. Give me $500,000 and I'll walk away, and the minister is passing it off as if this is all dandy. What does that look like to our international players? That we, on the eve of when this thing is supposed to open, make an announcement to Bermuda, we're ditching this, we're getting rid of it, and don't even tell the partner. Unbelievable. Completely unbelievable. Premier, I want you to know, it's time. Bermuda can no longer go on like this here. You have made blunder after blunder after blunder. It doesn't matter what you have to say about the OBA, because you'll just come up with all kinds of gaslighting things. Say what you want. But I do know that it was the OBA government who brought revenue to this country to get us out of the debt that you put us in. And so none of the words that you holler out right now are any comfort for what is going on today. I was just in the street over at the park the other morning, over a dozen young people, and sat down on that bench about housing. Young people living on the street. This is the Bermuda that we live in today. And this kind of announcement, I can't even believe you allowed this announcement to come out. But I'm sure you had to do it because you had to tell your partner. This is ridiculous. Premier, you need to step down. You are the finance minister who allowed this to happen. I wonder what the former finance minister, Curtis Dixon, thinks about this here after the fiasco with South P. I wonder. We've got other things that we're looking for. 800,000 over here we're trying to figure out. We still got to spend a whole bunch of money up at the National Sports Center that wasn't planned to be spent. And then the minister, Colonel Birch, has the nerve to say, well, we're making this change because South P is going to have all these units that's going to come up, and with all these units coming up, we're just going to ditch the hotel. Well, I want you to know, Bermuda, that in the House of Assembly, I myself said to the minister, hold on a second, why are we building a hotel at taxpayers' expense when we just got not even 2 miles down the road a massive hotel, South P, that's about to come online, as you say? Why would we do this? But no, you don't want to take advice from or any words from the OBA. No. I'm going to do what I want. Don't tell me what to do. It's time to call the election. I'm sure he's thinking about it, maybe December. But this can't keep going on. And Bermuda, I am saying to you, you must be frustrated with what you see right now. The new mortgage rate now is health insurance. Health insurance is more than a mortgage for some people. And seniors can't afford to live in this island. Young people can't afford to live in this island. Why? Because you're going to make those units up there $3,000 to $7,000 a month for rent. Imagine a studio that we're renting out for $3,000 a month. It used to be about $1,000 a room, right? For rent. No, we're going to give you a studio for $3,000. The minister can't even tell us what kind of rent he's going to do, but he's going to shut this place down and make it that way. So what's the feasibility study saying? What the rent should be? How dare you come and do a press conference and you don't have answers? Bermuda's had enough. You need to resign, minister, and premier, you need to step down. And let some people in your party run things that know what they're doing. Because right now, Bermudians are bewildered. They don't know what you're doing. And you have the nerve to come here with this press conference? Yesterday's press conference? There's so much I can say about this here. We're tired. Bermuda's tired. It's time to move on. Bermuda, you need to Vote this government out. We are hurting. We are failing. And this government, who made Grand Atlantic and the Bermudiana a race issue by saying, well, you white people don't want black people to be on oceanfront property, but yet at the end of the day, you're looking for international business and the likes to save us. How two-faced can you be? It's time for us to come together and work together to make something happen. Thank you, and I'll take questions.